mean, with the COVID coming into the picture as well, in a way, it forces you to be this captive audience.
Yes.
You know, I even have friends who don't watch the TV, but still they're getting the news of what is happening. And then when all the killings, George Floyd, like you said, that whole thing, I can't breathe, that feeling, and just felt relentless. And then you're at home and you're watching. Emotionally, spiritually, there was a point where I felt like it was too much in a way, like I was bombarding my senses with too much of the news. Like I don't want to not be aware of what's going on, but I think I was watching too much. And so it's like hours and hours that I'm filling my head with all this dark stuff that it has me crying and all worked up. And then there was one day I know I was yelling at my son because we were looking at things differently. And then I was like, okay, I can't do this. And I cut back what I was watching, how much I was watching. And then it's like I just felt lighter.
I know what you mean. There were days I was tired, but then I think it was the Breonna Taylor thing that made me feel weak. I mean, physically weak. That a woman can be safe in her home, in her bed, not a threat to anyone, and now her life is over.
Yeah, I was crying the whole year for different people, feeling their experiences, and it's not just 2020. It's like energetically just going back in time to feeling all that has come before, unknown names and faces
over the years, and we know how we were treated and what was still thought of, less than, and that we have to continue to struggle to prove who we are. But when you talk about the possibility of going into schools and reminding kids, all kids, that they are cool, just how great they are, no matter what color they are. And at the same time, Billy, I've had people call and ask me to talk about my experience of growing up Black in Brevard. And I'm tired of doing that because it feels like I'm soothing or pacifying or making them feel better to hear my story. My question to them, well, what difference is it going to make? What are you going to do differently? Are you going to hire people? Are you going to speak up? Are you going to vote differently? And all they want is to hear the story. And what is that to do? What good is that?
Or what is that nice, neat buffer? I mean, it almost feels like you're a nice, sanitized,
safe
person.
Yeah. That one, I'm not prejudiced. I've got a Black friend. So I don't want to be a Black friend when it's convenient. If it's 2020 or whatever the year is, I'm done with that. And 2020 really made that click for me, that if it's not going to be productive, I'm not going to sit around and talk about segregation and hardship and being poor and read about it. It's everything you want to know. You can Google that.
Right.
Everything.
Yeah, and so many people are just looking for a story to tell.
A story to tell?
Yeah, they're just looking for something to tell their grandkids. They just want this story. They don't want to make a difference. They want to get out into the streets, yell and scream, hold up their signs, get on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram so they can make their stories being told, but there's no substance to their stories. They're just wanting their 5 minutes of fame, then they go back to business as usual.
Right. Right.
Are you able to go back to business as usual?
In some ways, yes. You know, there's complacency, like I was saying before. There's, you know, you can put the blinders on, you can go to work, you can just perform as you normally do. And then, you know, the storm is happening around you. But if it doesn't directly affect your world, then you don't have to deal with it, you know? And that's where a lot of the subconscious prejudices come from. You know, people have ways of interacting with other races that they don't realize is discriminatory. You know? And you're sitting there like, what did I do? I don't understand what just happened here to cause this interaction, but they're oblivious. You know? Like, I used to work at a grocery store, and without fail, every single time, if I was working directly next to a white person, and the white customer had a question, I don't think they realized what they were doing, because every time they would walk right past me and ask the white person. And even if I knew the answer better, you know, the white coworker is stumbling over their words. They're like, oh, I don't know. When I give a very specific answer, I can see in their body language they're still trying to direct themselves toward the white person. And I'm not holding it against them. They don't realize they're doing it. Right. And it's just something that's deeply ingrained into the behavior patterns. You know, people are very programmable. We're programmed by the media. We're programmed by our daily interactions. And, you know, there could be, not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but you know, if somebody's up there turning the knob, and, you know, making people go in one direction or another. And it's people, we all need to be aware of that. And we need to cut out the us versus them dynamic. Because the more we do that, there becomes more us's versus more them's.
Exactly.
Everything gets subdivided, and there's people in the same group fighting against each other.
Yeah.
Like Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter.
Right. Right.
What sense does it make for those two people to be fighting?
Right.
You know,
Somebody matter.
these lives matter. These lives matter also. They all matter.
Yes.
Right? So why are you fighting? Saying that lives matter. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
We need to get out of our emotional pathways and introduce a little more logic into our thought patterns.
Right.
Humans are emotional creatures, right? But humans are proud of being emotional creatures. And we use that as a way to navigate the world around us. But we can't lean too heavily on the emotional side, because you start having these marches, these protests that are unproductive. We need to step back, get more information, be willing to accept that you could be wrong about what you think. Balance the emotion with the logic, open yourself up to learning from other people, and then use that to take a subtle step forward, instead of, you know, getting one or two ideas and marching down the street. Be well-versed and well-educated in what you claim to believe in.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's kind of the approach that I've been taking for, I don't know, the last couple of years. Because I've seen what has been done in the past, and I always question, I've seen the progression that it caused, but now it's a different thing. It's something we have to do differently. Being in a position where you can be given more opportunity to do something now. When we get those opportunities, we have to do something with it now. I feel like I don't need to say, okay, the white man holding me down anymore. I need to say that now that I'm in this position, I'm going to pull my sister up, my brother up, and show them that, like Lee said, through logic, through education, through being mindful of your situations all the time, there's steps that you can take now. And that's kind of what I've done with my art career. I was told my whole entire life that it was impossible for me to be an artist. So I spent my entire life to prove those who say I couldn't do it wrong. And when I've done it without education, they looked at me like, where did this wisdom come from? And that's what it is. It's wisdom. It's not just words that we use. It's not just knowledge or whatever. It's actually knowing how to use that knowledge and put it towards something to make it work. I've done this walking from Pisgah Forest to Brevard every day. People driving by beeping. waving, but no one stopped to pick me up. At the same time, as soon as I get somewhere where they think I am, they say, hey, can you help me out? And I'm like, where was you at when I was walking? But the whole thing was, I learned something then. I said, I'm not gonna allow anybody or anything to stop me, even if it means death, because I have some nieces and nephews that I will not allow to live through this situation. And I said, if it means my life, so be it.